Steve Jewin, MMA Mania.
All right, go ahead, Steve.
All right, do I have trouble Valerie Letourneau on the line? And how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very excellent, and I'm so glad to talk to you today about this big fight you've got coming up with Emily Ducote at Bellator 181 in Thackerville, Oklahoma. But I want to start out by complimenting you and saying that UFC 193, your fight with Joanna Jędrzejczyk, was one of my favorite fights of 2015.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
It was a thrilling 5-round fight, excellent action from start to finish. You really pushed her to the limit. Speaking of push to the limit, I know that later on in your UFC career, that weight cut was pushing you to the limit. So how happy are you now to be fighting at flyweight?
Oh, it's a true blessing. Like I said, there's no one day without thinking about my weight cut at 115. And I realized how crazy this was. I'm glad I did it because it brings me to that championship fight. And, you know, I had great experience, but my body could never, you know, I couldn't do more of these weight cuts, especially at my age. It's just killing my body.
There's no reason to kill your body for fighting because you're already killing your body having fights. So no reason to do it to yourself twice.
Oh, it's crazy. We train so hard. We try to, you know, bring our body to the best and conditioning, eat well. And next thing you know, 24 hours before the fight, you just kill it all. It just makes no sense. So fighters need to learn to fight in their natural weight class and focus on performing.
Do you think then that it's an issue that UFC has really only promoted 2 weight divisions for women? They've started a third, but Bellator beat them to the punch on that.
Yeah, but they maybe woke up just on time. There's a reason why they decided to open that new 125 weight class, because I don't think it was in their mind. They weren't ready for this. But their biggest mistake, I think, has been to open 145 before 125. There's not many women there, and actually you can see that they don't even know what to give to Cyborg. So there's so many women that want to fight at 125. It's a much more natural weight class for women. Bellator was really smart to make this move first and find all these girls.
And speaking of finding all these girls, you've got a tough one ahead of you in Emily Ducote. What do you think of her as an opponent, and have you had a chance to look at her previous Bellator fights?
Of course, that's the first thing I did. I always watch everything I have for my opponent over and over, so I get used to their style, timing, and everything. And she's well-rounded to me. I like the way she fights. That's a girl that, I mean, I have to fight her, but, you know, there's some fighter that, you know, all right, that's my job. I have to go and do it, but I kind of really like this girl, and I think she's very talented. It's a good challenge for me. I think Bellator's been smart to give me that opponent because I know it's going to be a great fight.
Absolutely. They're not giving you a pushover opponent in any way with her record being 5-2, and she's just shown incredible toughness in all her fights. Even when she gets in adversity, she comes back from it and finds a way to get a submission.
I agree. Totally agree.
Did you have any prospective names when they first contacted you to come to Bellator, or did you just tell them any fighter will do, just give me a fight, I'm ready to go?
That's exactly how I felt. Just give me a fight, I'm ready to go. But at the same time, I have to be honest, I don't watch fights on TV too much. And even either if it's for other organization, I'm terrible with the fighter's name. If I have to fight someone, then I'm going to watch tape, and I ended up knowing some other girls. But because I was fighting for the UFC, obviously I knew more the women in the UFC division. But I never really stopped myself and sit down and just watch, you know, random fights. I just cannot do it. So I get to know these girls, and I'm gonna get to know them even more. But I didn't really have a name in mind. When they gave me Emily, I realized we were from the same team, but a different state. And I started analyzing her. That makes me see other women for Bellator also. So I'll get to know them all, and whoever they're going to bring, I'm ready to fight them.
Now, do you think that maybe a little time has gone by since fans really got to see you at your top level? Do you think they're going to be surprised by how good you are now that you don't have the additional weight to cut?
Oh, I feel awesome. I mean, for me, it's really just to bring it. I think most people know it's a big mental part when you get there, but physically, I just feel phenomenal. So if I can bring this to the octagon, and I know we're going to put on a crazy show.
Now, speaking of being physically prepared, how has the training camp been? Have you picked up anything new in camp in your preparation for Ducote?
I just keep building around what I already have and make it stronger, not doing, sometimes little mistake that, sometimes you miss the finish. So I've been really focusing. We know when my coach, what I'm good at, when I'm not so comfortable with, and we try to build on the positive side and just make my game stronger in every aspect. So I just feel a better version of myself.
Let me ask you a question about the uncrowned flyweight title yet in Bellator. They obviously brought you in at the same time as they brought in a whole bunch of other flyweights to really build up this division. But assuming things go well with Ducote, how long would it be before you would be fighting for a title? How long would you want to wait to get a shot?
I would jump on it right away if I can. It's, to me, I have to feel like I deserve it, and it's solely going to depend on my performance with Emily. And I think it's the same for all these girls. I don't know when they're going to fight, but I mean, once we put on a show there and people see what we have, what we can bring, and then I guess they're going to pick some of these girls and make them fight for the title. I feel like Alina is probably the one who deserves it the most so far, and see how these other girls perform. But my goal is to put on my best performance and get a chance to maybe fight for the title next.
It's a good coincidence, though, that you mentioned Alina Leigh, because your opponent, that's the only person that she's lost to in Bellator, is Alina Leigh McFarland.
But I think it's been a really close fight for what I've been seeing it. They were back and forth, and Alina did just a little bit better than Emily, but I think it could have go. I feel like Emily had the tools to beat Alina at a certain point. And if she doesn't get there yet, she's still young, I feel like she's going to have a chance at some point.
I agree, too. It seems like she's only getting better with each fight, and she is incredibly young. But you did make a point a little earlier that I wanted to go back to. You said that it's getting harder to make the weight cut as you get a little older, and that's one of the reasons you like being at flyweight. But I don't think of 34 as being too old. So when you think about your fighting career,
no.
What do you think is old? I mean,
I'm not old, but...
Go ahead.
I'm not old, but let me tell you, as women know we don't cut weight as easy as men. And what I love is, from my experience, it's so much easier for me to stay in a good shape and healthy. I know my body, so this is experience help a lot with weight cut. But the time to recover after a fight is really not the same the older you get. And let me tell you, I'm not the same woman after a fight, when I was 27 compared to right now. And when I'm cutting at 115, I'm really strong mentally. I make it, and I'm showing to the fight. I give my 100%, but the worst is after the fight. And unless I'm taking like a week or two to be back at training, sometimes it takes 6 weeks before you can really feel that your strength is back, your cardio is back. So how many fights a year can you do if you have to stop for a month and a half or 2 months training after every fight?
I agree.
So for me, fighting at 125, I barely have to cut weight. I always make sure that I stay in a healthy weight. So, if I have to drop 7-8 pounds and the rest I'm cutting in water, that's fine. I'm going to go there, be healthy, and I'm comfortable to train at this weight too. This is the weight I train at every day.
I think in a way you just answered my next question, was going to be, if you're more comfortable, if you're happier and healthier now, how many fights can you have a year? And it sounds like you're already saying, I can have a lot more fights now.
Absolutely. It's just, I'm going to give you something. People were kind of making fun of Chris Cyborg when she refused to take the title fight when they offered her. She said she wasn't ready. I don't know if she said she wasn't ready because she was not going to make weight, but to me it feels more like her body wasn't ready to go through training camp. She was still trying. She was still struggling with her health after those crazy weight cuts, and I totally understand what she meant. Even if I was showing up at the gym a week after a fight, my heart wants to go there. I've lost all my strength, all my cardio. How can you explain this in a week? You don't lose strength and cardio. It's because your body is so messed up. Because you cannot push the machine, like it stopped working. And you have no choice to rest. And even if you want to go hard and you want to try, it's just impossible. You need to rest. this is what happened when you cut so much weight. Fighting and you look in boxing, they don't cut so much weight, and sometimes they fight every other month.
And in boxing, they have a lot more stringent requirements because there are more weight classes. So you can easily just meet one weight class without having to try to cut 3 or 4 to get down to another weight to be stronger in a smaller weight.
I realized not long ago how many weight classes they had. I was just like curious, like, what's the different weight classes in boxing? I realized there's a weight class sometimes 3 pounds between weight classes, 3, 4, 5. So when you see someone say, "Oh, I went up on a weight class, but nobody wants to fight me," I'm like, I'm talking about 20 pounds for me going up on a weight class. You think you went up on a weight class for 3 pounds? This is nothing. This is nothing. For me, it's just... So,
yeah,
I mean, that's probably smartest from them. That's the healthy way, but there's almost 2 million boxing, and there's really not enough in mixed martial arts.
Well, that's the other problem with boxing, really, is there are too many titles out there in boxing. You've got IBA, WBA, WBF, all this other stuff. To me, with mixed martial arts, one of the beauties of it... Thing. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm saying someone, you have 20 belts of, all this promotion and different weight class. If you can get a belt in every 3 pounds, you can easily. I would be fighting. I went in three different weight class, having 10 pounds between each class. So there's a range of 20 pounds there. How many championships I could have done in boxing? Jumping from one weight class to the other. This is a lot more opportunity, and there's so many more promotion and belts. So, yeah, I feel like it's easy to say, oh, yeah, 10-time boxing, world champion. Okay. But for us, when we get a belt in mixed martial arts, knowing there's only a very few legit promotions, there's a bigger meaning for me having a belt in mixed martial arts than having a belt in boxing.
It's just a few at the top. So I know that before long, you're going to be fighting for that top title in Bellator.
Oh, that's the goal. That's my plan. So hopefully by the end of the year, I'm going to fight for the belt.
Yes, indeed. But one more question before we wrap it up. How did you get the nickname Trouble in the first place?
It's a very long story. It's just me. Since I'm young, even at school, I would always get myself in trouble or be kicked out of school. And I spent a year and a half in a juvenile center from 13 to 15. So I was a little trouble kid, but I'm also a very, I'm ADD. I forget everything everywhere. And, always being late. I've been working on that, but still, I always struggle being on time, or if I get there on time, I'll forget something. And I'm pretty clumsy also in training. I would, try to be careful not to hurt anyone, and I always ended up doing something terrible. So that's me in many aspects. That's just me.
Well, I would say that you were early, if anything, for today's interview, so you've obviously worked on it, and now you just bring trouble to your opponents in the ring.
Yeah, trouble follows me everywhere.
Trouble coming up for Emily Ducote when she faces you at Bellator 181 in Thackerville, Oklahoma. But before I let you go today, Valerie, I want to say thank you again and give you the opportunity to plug sponsors and teammates and social media, anything that you want to get out.
Oh, definitely going to thank my team, American Top Team, all my girls that trained with me from even the pro and the amateurs. And I have my really good sponsor, Club Downtown in Montreal, Restaurant Coq, and Team Pro Supplements. So these are my major sponsors that have been there with me for years, so I'm very thankful to them.